Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you all this morning. Welcome to all of you here in the sanctuary, and welcome to all of those who are streaming in from home as well. This congregation first gathered in 1651 in this historic meeting house where we worship this morning. Was built in 1789 on the unceded ancestral lands of the Nipmuc. All right. It's good to see you all. Welcome to this place. Here we honor the inherent dignity and worthiness found in everyone. Here we gather each week in covenant and community to remind ourselves that we are good, that we are loved, that we could all use a little bit of work, and that we're in this together. So whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever you believe, whomever you love, we welcome you to this congregation.
We are all capable in different ways with various strengths and talents. We are all wholly part of the universe and the interdependent web. We light this chalice, cherishing our differences and holding each other in sacredness.
Friends, welcome to this space, the sanctuary of peace, where we come to not only create our best selves, but also do the work of creating beloved community. We come together today as individuals, much like individual pieces of glass or pottery that are all different in size, shape, and color, all of which are broken with imperfect, jagged edges, but all of which are beautiful. And while our pieces may not always fit together neatly, it is within this sanctuary here, we're guided by our principles and values, that we may gather together to create a beautiful mosaic. May the brokenness and beauty we find in one another create peace in this space and fill our hearts with love as we create this worship space together. Please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 349 in your hymnal, We Gather Together. While those are being passed out, I would invite us into a time of prayer and meditation. Let's hold all that was spoken during our time for joys and sorrows in our hearts. There's many who are experiencing hardship here in the congregation, those we're related to. There's been illness and injury. This morning, we're thankful that we can be in this space together. We're thankful for all of those not in this space who are in our hearts. As was raised up, we're also very much thinking about the war-torn Middle East, hoping and praying that somehow peaceful resolution can be found. The bloodshed can end soon. Let's also pause and recognize all that we're grateful for. Soon we'll be sitting, enjoying a meal, some of us with friends, some with family. All of us here in the meeting house this morning, sharing a meal after the worship service, talking and laughing. Because no matter what is going on outside of this space, we can still be together in communion and love. Let's pause for a moment of silent meditation. Now I invite Jackson Raza back up to share with us the morning's poem.
So this is a poem written by Reverend David Breeden called Yes, There's No Binary. The road not taken is not a fork. That's too simple a thought, flipping some coin. Neither or, nope, it's not this or that. No or yes, it's no or neither. And all of the above and more. The road taken goes every way at once. There, they, them, go, now, live.
Well, friends, for those of us who have always identified as cisgender, the use of preferred pronouns may seem necessary, but it is a way to show respect and kindness and love. Because so many of our transgender siblings are struggling with many different issues, including their safety. Tomorrow, November 20th, is the Transgender Day of Remembrance. It's a time for communities to come together and remember transgender people and those who are perceived by others to be transgender. It's a day to grieve all of our transgender siblings who have been murdered because of who they are, murdered out of hate. So as I read the following words by Reverend Amy Brooks, I would invite you all to repeat the refrain, "We bear witness." We people gathered here today on the quest for truth and meaning bear witness to the record of human lives extinguished simply because these people dared to live authentically, to the lives and reported deaths of 320 transgender people globally so far this year, to the lives and reported deaths of 31 transgender people in these United States so far this year, to the unreported ones, to the uncounted ones, the unnamed many, whose lives and deaths will only ever be known by the universe. In these times of heightened anxiety, we who are gathered here today reject the teachings of division and ignorance. We commit to siding with love against hatred, against closed-minded ideologies that excuse evil acts in the name of religion, against any administration that seeks to fuel their rise to power by threatening the lives of transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people, against systemic power structures that treat transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary people, particularly those who are people of color, as being anything less than human. On this day, we who are queer folk and allies gathered together uphold the first principle that speaks of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. For those transgender, genderqueer, non-binary people who are gathered here among us today, for those who are allied to the cause of protecting our transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary siblings. For those who exist boldly, unapologetically, in public space as fully, authentically transgender, genderqueer, and non-binary. Sacred, transgender, genderqueer, non-binary lives do not go unnoticed by us. Together we say. Now I would invite forward the choir to share with us their Wow, what a blessing. Thank you all for sharing your beautiful voices. So yes, this morning we have much to be grateful for. Soon we'll be sharing tables and food with loved ones. There's always that perennial issue that comes up this time of year, though. Just who will be sitting at our table? Will Uncle Bob come? You know, Uncle Bob. We all have an Uncle Bob. I have an Uncle Bob. It's not his real name, but we see the world in very different ways. We enjoy those long hours of having appetizers, maybe for the adults, maybe a glass of wine, enjoying the big meal, the pumpkin pie, those hours of conversation with sometimes people you don't talk with a whole lot. And what comes next out of Uncle Bob's mouth? We all wait and wonder and worry. Well, we can imagine some that might be discussed. There is a lot happening in our worlds, in our country that is divisive, politics. For a long time before I went to seminary, and while I was an art teacher, I thought that maybe my next part of my life, when I went through that midlife crisis, maybe I thought I'd get into politics. I was always very vocal about this, and you all probably have heard me and probably wonder, boy, Dave does like to talk politics sometimes, doesn't he? I didn't. I decided to go to seminary. And one thing that I am noticing a difficulty, I think, in our national dialogue is distinguishing between political candidates and political policies on the one hand, with values and principles on the other. One thing I'm hearing, and I'm sure you're all hearing, is a lot of folks across the country and our world being defensive about new intentions to have more diversity, more equity, more inclusion. Have you heard these new words a lot on the radio? There's legislation being passed to stop more diversity, more inclusion, more equity. But for me, that's not a political discussion. That is more of a values discussion. And it's something that our religion, our Unitarian Universalist faith, speaks very deeply about. So I would invite you, while you're perhaps having those discussions, to frame it less as a left versus right, but maybe as a something that you could speak to from your faith. For as you know, our second UU principle is that we affirm justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. It's right there. That's part of who we say we are. And as you know, we're having a discussion as a Unitarian Universalist faith about evolving some of those principles into values and a covenant, things that speak about pluralism, that we celebrate, that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, theology, and experience, that we covenant to learn from one another and openly explore the depth and breadth of our many wisdoms. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Using someone's preferred pronouns is a way to do that. Another one of these values is about equity. That we declare that every person has the right to flourish with dignity and worthiness. That we covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain a fully inclusive and accessible community of communities. This is our faith we're talking about here. This is what we say we believe in, that we value. And I think it is predictable and understandable when those who have not been asked to do things that make them moderately uncomfortable, when they are asked to do those things, there is obvious defensiveness and pushback. As I mentioned earlier, I've been cisgender my whole life and I've never really questioned that. I think my whole life people have looked at me and called me he, him. But I wonder how I'd feel if I walked on the street and people regularly called me she. Look at her walk down the street. I wonder how that would make me feel. I've never had that experience, but I wonder if it did. Would I feel like I constantly had to correct that person? What if I was in the minority, only a small amount of people who look like me that happened to? Preferred pronouns is one very small way to show those who may have that experience a way of being in solidarity, of saying, we are going to see you, we're going to honor you, and we are going to perhaps be slightly uncomfortable by using those. This is one example of how we might show more love and respect for everyone. Because what we're attempting to do here as a UU congregation, as a UU faith, as people of good conscience, is to create a world where more people feel welcomed, respected, included. So to that end, I hope you enjoy your meals with your families and Uncle Bob, because he's got good ideas too. And listen to his ideas too. His ideas aren't wrong, but you might want to help someone like Bob reframe some of these ideas with love and kindness and compassion. Well, now with that, I would invite forward Mary Corthell, one of our co-chairs of the Annual Fund Drive Committee, to introduce the offering.
Good morning. Well, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we will gratefully accept today's offering. We know that contributions to this congregation come from hard work and sacrifice. May we, in the giving of today, continue to support and sustain this church's life, mission, and purpose. And so thank you today for all of us giving in whatever way we can to a place we call sacred and that we cherish.
And if any of the kiddos want to come up and help collect money, we'd love it if you would. All right. One.
And also in the spirit of Friendsgiving, I invited my friend and student Cindy to sing one of her songs today. She was here last Friendsgiving, and I think she was going to introduce them.
Hi, it's just really nice to be with this welcoming group, and I'm going to sing a song that I actually wrote for my kids, but I think it fits very well with relationships with friends and how you see your friends. So much you know, her spirit shining through your eyes I see. How's it go? Tune that's playing only you can hear. Leads you on the path you know, always tells which way to go. Sometimes you lose your footing, but you always find your way again. You let it show. The spirit shining through your eyes I see. How's it go? The tune that's playing only you can hear. The part of you we've always known reminds us how to be at home. Inside the place that we can trust. Stop questioning, don't make a fuss, just go. Your spirit shining through your eyes I see. How's it go? The tune that's playing only you can hear. The world today pushes so hard, not taking time to feel the pulse. Don't let this world take from you what you already know. Just go. Your spirit shining through your eyes I see. How's it go? Tune that's playing only you can hear.
Now I'd invite you all to rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, number 163, for the earth forever turning. Seated. So as most of you already know, we have currently the Gun Tragedies Memorial Stones Labyrinth outside on the front lawn of our church property. That will be there over the next month. So therefore, over that next month, we will be ending all of our worship services a little bit differently. So when the recessional music begins, I would invite each of you to take a Gun Tragedies Memorial Stone, or there are some there on the table. They each mark another mass shooting that's happened in this country since we met last week. Tragically, there have been additional shootings. So when we begin to recess, if you'd like to take a stone, you can add it to the labyrinth outside. There are still some blank stones that you could carefully replace this stone that is marked. If you weren't here last week, on each stone you will see the place of a mass shooting, the date, and for every heart you see on the stone, it's an injury, and every black ribbon